Okay, so I finally got the video directions up. Sorry again, guys, for not having these for you yesterday. I'm going to go back over the beginning part, just because I didn't have the video, even though we should have already gotten through these first two sections. Then I'll kind of keep going from there. So again, the purpose of this project is to research a car of your choosing. A couple definitions here we talked about in class, just to kind of remind you guys of a couple things as you're looking up cars. One of the things you'll be looking up is the MPG for the car, which is the miles it gets per gallon. This varies from car to car depending on like what type of car it is. For example, like just basic sedans usually are kind of middle of the road. Trucks, Jeeps, sometimes some sports cars, very old vehicles get very low miles to the gallon. And hybrid cars get very high because they're using both gas and electric. The higher the number, the better, because again, that means that you can go further on 1 gallon of gas. You're also going to be asked what the make and model of the car is. Make is literally who makes it, right? So Chevy, Ford, GM, Toyota, whatever, the company that makes it. The model is the specific name of the car, right? There's lots of different cars that Toyota makes. So the Camry in Toyota Camry, that's the model. For some cars, it's just letters and a number. BMW is the make, M3 is the model. So just pay attention to that. And then again, you're going to look at the different types of transmissions. I can't remember in Kelley Blue Book if they call it standard or manual. It's the same thing. Either they'll say standard transmission or they'll say manual. And that's with stick shift, yeah. Automatic, you just got the brake and the gas and that's it. You're not having to do any shifting yourself. So the first thing you're going to do is go to kbb.com, which I already have pulled up here. This is Kelley Blue Book. They list cars on here, but they're also their big thing is valuing cars, saying, hey, this particular car from this particular year, if it's in relatively good condition, should be worth this much. So we're going to look up a car here. Oops. We're going to go cars for sale at the top, right up here, cars for sale. What you're going to do is you're going to search for a car of your choosing. Doesn't matter what, as long as it's on the website here. Well, there's some limitations, and I'll say that in a second. What you want to do is change the search radius here to be any distance. Please do that because you're going to be like, there's not many cars. That's because if you don't change that, it's only going to show you cars like basically in Phoenix. And the whole point is to just find a car that you like. And so this is going to show all cars that are listed in America. Once you change that, there's no search bar, but you can search by make here. So if you know like, oh, I want a Cadillac or I want a BMW, you can click that. And then once it loads, it will show you all the different models. Yeah. So if you have a very particular car in mind, you can again select the make, and the models will show up for you to choose as well. DeLorean, gosh. So a couple things you cannot choose for the purpose of this project. Lamborghinis are not going to work for this project. Any electric cars are not going to work for this project. So yes, Tesla, but also any other electric car. DeLorean, probably not. They need to be basically more common type. I mean, Porsche is common enough. You'll see later what I mean. There's certain cars that just are not listed in a different part of KBB with certain information if they're very fancy cars or anything like that. So let me know if you're not sure if your car will work for the project. I can help you out with figuring that out. So I'm just going to clear this actually. Now, one more thing, again, you can choose. If you don't know the make and the model, but you're like, I just want a truck or I just want to have a convertible car. You can scroll down a little bit to body style, and then you can choose if you want to have a truck or an SUV or whatever. Yeah. So I'm going to give you a moment, pause the video, go ahead and take some time. You don't take too long, but find a car. You can scroll through. Yes, there are some used cars. There are some new cars. It doesn't matter which. And then come back and continue with the video when you have selected your car. Okay, so I'm going to choose this one. Why not? Just for fun. Okay, so now in the directions, I have this here. That's because I gave this to my students in person to handwrite in, and then they are going to copy their stuff into the template. So in the car research project, you have this template. I'd recommend just open that. If you're watching this video, you don't necessarily need these directions here. You have the video. So this is what you're going to submit here. So what you're going to do is you're going to record all this information about the car you chose. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and fill in mine. My year was 2021. My make is a Honda. The model is an Accord. Honda Accord. Excuse me. The engine type is the next thing. So when you scroll down, you'll see here, the engine type is if it's gas or hybrid. That'll be right here. So most of these cars are obviously going to be gas. There's not that many hybrid cars. If it was a hybrid, it would say right there. So this is a gas car. The price, let's see. We got $28,256. $28,256. Make that look pretty. Transmission, you will see right here as well. So this is an automatic transmission. It says continuously variable automatic transmission. But all that means it's a fancier type of automatic, but it's not manual. Very important for you to know that. And the MPGs are here. 30 city, 38 highway. That's pretty good MPG. And again, I was saying this in class. And 38. The highway number is always going to be higher because you're not having to stop and go. Yeah, accelerating your car is what really takes a lot of gas. So if you're not having to accelerate, if you're just going the same speed with not a lot of acceleration happening, you get better gas mileage. That's why on the highway, the number is higher. So take a moment, look at your car and record all that information. I will say one more thing here. If you do not see the MPGs, because that is possible, so for some reason, sometimes they don't list them here. It'll say not available. Literally, go to Google. I would Google Honda. Here, I'll do it here. Honda Accord MPG. Boom, there it is. 30 city, 38 highway, like it just said. Yeah. So whatever your car is, doesn't even matter the year or anything like that. Just say whatever the car MPG. Google will have the information. So take a moment once again. Once you have that filled out, go ahead and come back and we'll go on to the next section. Okay, so the next section, what we are doing is we are going to pretend that you are financing this car, which means you're buying it on a loan and for the purpose of the project with no down payment. You can get a car with no down payment. I did. It makes your monthly payment more expensive. If you have a down payment, your monthly payment will decrease, but you don't have to have one. So here's where you're going to need to kind of look at my screen. I'm going to zoom in a little bit to make sure you can see it. So you are going to figure out the monthly payment for this car and then the total cost of the car with all that interest worked in. The loan amount is going to be the price of the car. So copying over here, 28,256. There's our loan amount. For me, I'm giving you 5% and 5 years. You're going to use this formula, so you need to go to Desmos, plug in for the monthly payment, and then we're going to do a little bit of math to get the total cost of the car. So take a moment, go to Desmos. I'll leave this here. Plug in your formula. Your P is, once again, whatever the cost of your car is. I'm giving you an R of 5% and a loan length of T. That's the a T of 5. Go ahead and plug it in. Okay, so I'm actually going to go ahead and do this real quick myself. So, fraction button, very important. Fraction button. My loan was 28,256. Oops. Got to make sure this is in the right spot. 28,256, parentheses. The rest should be the same from here. 0.05. I'm giving for everybody. Oh, for Pete's sake. In the world. What the frick? There we go. 0.05 divided by 12, for Pete's sake. You can skip this part if you're good. 0.05 divided by 12. Parentheses. To the 12 times 5 is 60. You should have had an exponent there as 60. It's 12 times 5. 1 plus 0.05 divided by 12, close parenthesis, to the 60. Don't forget that minus 1 as well. Okay, so for me, my monthly payment is $533.23. $533.23. Careful that you did not, again, forget that -1. Your answer might look like it makes sense, but it's going to be a little bit lower than it should be. So make sure you did not forget that -1. So once you have your monthly payment, now we need the total cost of the car. Because again, when we're talking about total cost, we're including all of the interest. And that interest is included in the monthly payment. That's the point. Some of it is interest, some of it is principal. So what we're going to do is just this. You're going to take your monthly payment and multiply it by the number of months on the loan. That's going to be all the money you've given them, and that will be your actual total cost of the car with interest. So take your monthly payment. The number runs to 60. Go ahead and multiply those and get your total cost. Okay, so coming back, you should have already done this yourself, but for me, I'm doing $533, my monthly payment. 533.23 times 60. So I get 31,993.80. So check, guys, because you're going to lose points if your math is wrong. Your total cost should be more than the loan amount. We hopefully understand that by now. With interest, this car is going to cost you more. Yeah. So that is our total cost. Again, if it's not more than the loan amount, your monthly payment is probably wrong. Let me know if you have any extra questions on that part or you want to check with me. You can shoot me a question or remind, but we're going to keep going on here. Okay, so the next portion of this project, I'm going to keep scrolling down. So this is the directions section. Okay, so we're going to figure out now is something that Kelley Blue Book has for research on cars is a 5-year cost to own. Because, right, we think, oh, sweet, I have a car. I bought it, all good to go. But there's a lot of, owning a car is expensive. There's maintenance, there's repairs, there's gas, there's tires, there's registration fees, there's car insurance, yeah? So Kelley Blue Book actually did some research and figured out for a particular car, the money you might be spending on it total for all of those things in 5 years. So this information is just going to be told to us for fuel, insurance, financing, state fees, maintenance, repairs, loss of value, and then the overall 5-year cost to own, literally how much money you might be spending in 5 years. Obviously, this is not exact, duh, but it's good estimations. And then this last portion here is going to tell us the cost per mile that you drive. Yeah, the higher the number is, the more expensive it is to drive this car overall. Cost per mile is, again, literally, one more time, based on the 5-year cost to own and kind of an average of how much people drive in 5 years. How much it would cost you to drive this car per mile. So let's go ahead. We are going to go, here's what you need, excuse me. You're going to have to type this, or what I recommend you do. Again, this directions document is what I'm looking at here. I have not figured out how to get to this particular link just clicking through the website. I used to. I found this link clicking through, but they changed the website and it still exists, but I can't figure out how to get there. So I can't tell you, like, click this and then click this and then click this. I don't know how. It's weird. So what you have to do is copy this link or just type it exactly. I'm going to go ahead and go here. And then here you are. So once more, either open up the directions document, find this link here on page 2. That's on page 2. And copy and paste it, or I'll leave this here. You can pause the video and you can type it into a new tab. So come back once you have that link open. Okay, so you are going to find your car. You're going to enter the make and model of your car to the right. Now, for me, again, mine was a Honda Accord, right? I'm going to go ahead and click next. Now, couple things here. If it does not show you the 5-year cost to own. So I'm going to click, once you put in your car, I'm going to click 5-year cost to own. It shows it for me. However, for some cars that are brand spanking new, it does not show it because that research has not been done yet. What you want to do is change the year. Now, it is usually only going to show the last couple years, and you might have an older car. That's okay. Just choose either one. It doesn't matter. Whichever one has the 5-year cost to own information, use that. So once more, mine is a 2021 and the 5-year cost to own is here. It's possible when you click on this, it's not. Once more, if that's the case, change it to be an older year and try again. It should be there. But please let me know if you're having a hard time finding this information. Message me on Remind and I can kind of walk you through it. I can look up your car and see what the situation is. Because once you have 5-year cost to own, all you have to do is copy these numbers over. So we can see in 5 years, you might be spending this much on gas, this much on insurance, financing, state fees, all of that. Here's the loss of value. And here is the 5-year cost to own total. And then the cost per mile. So once again, all you're going to do is copy all of that over here. It's in order. These things here, loss of value, 5-year cost to own, and cost per mile. I'm not going to copy them over because it is just copying them over, but take a moment, go ahead and copy them over here, and then we're going to go on from here. Okay, so hopefully you have all of these copied over, that you paused the video and took care of it. And again, this just gives you an idea. Some cars historically cost more in insurance, cost more for fuel, cost more for maintenance and repairs. There's cars that we know are just made a certain way and they're going to be more expensive. As well as, again, your car loses value over time, right? That's depreciation. So you're technically losing that money. You spent it, but now this item doesn't have that value. So even though it's not cash that you've lost, it's value that you've lost. So that's something to take into consideration as well. So going on from here, you should have this whole section filled in. Let's go to our almost last section. Okay, so the last section here, once you have the specifics written down for your car, I have the directions here for what to do for each box. You are going to write it, though, again, on your template. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the average cost of fuel for per year. On average, again, scientists have studied a lot of different things. Scientists have found that on average, people travel about 12,000 miles a year. That's about, I'm trying to think. I've had my car for 6 years and I have 96,000 miles on it. How much am I traveling per year? I have to leave. Divided by 6. So I'm traveling about 16,000 miles per year, but I've talked to you guys about that. I do a lot of traveling with that car. I go up to Flagstaff often. So I'm a bit higher than the average. But most people, yeah, about 12,000 miles a year. So what we're going to do is we're going to see how much money, if you were to travel 12,000 miles in a year, how much money you'd be spending on gas. That is based on your miles per gallon, right? If you have a higher MPG, you're going to be spending less on gas. You have a lower MPG, you're going to be spending a lot on gas in a year. So what you're going to do is you are going to copy the MPG city and the MPG highway from part 1, which is right here. So for me, that was 30 and 38. I know this is kind of confusing. I'm going to go ahead and do this right here, and then I'm going to copy it over. 30 and 38. So take a moment. In your template right here, copy over the MPG city and the MPG highway that you had up here in part 1, and then come back. Okay, so hopefully you already went and did that. So once again, I'm going to come back here to the directions. So sometimes, though, you're not just driving strictly, sometimes, over the year, you're not just strictly driving on city streets, and you're not just strictly driving on highway. It's a mix of both. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the average of these two numbers. We're going to take the average of city and highway, and then that's what we're going to use to figure out how many gallons you might use while driving. So how do we take an average in any situation? Think about that for a second. What do we do? If I want an average of a certain set of numbers, you should add them and then divide by how many there are. So there's two numbers. I'm going to add them and then divide by 2. So for me, I'm doing 30 plus 38. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to divide by 2. So my average is 34. So take a moment. Find the average of your two numbers. Little hint here, guys, when you're taking the average of two numbers, it's the exact middle of those two numbers. So you should end up somewhere in between, because again, sometimes you're driving city, sometimes you're driving highway. Your MPG usually ends up somewhere in the middle. So be up to here. And again, we're going to have that on our template. Okay, so be up to here. If you are not, pause the video, rewind it, and make sure you know what to do. I'm going to go on. So we are getting, for me, 34 miles to the gallon, right? That means I can go 34 miles and use 1 gallon of gas. So we're going to figure out if again, the average is to travel 12,000 miles in a year, we're going to figure out how many gallons that would take. So this is our miles. This is our MPG. If you remember from our formulas, this would be a division type thing. We are going to divide 12,000 by our average. So for me, 12,000 divided by 34. In a year, I might be using 352.94 gallons, we'll say. This is MPG, just so we're clear on the units and making sure we understand everything. Oops, MGP. Okay. So that is for me, and again, that was 12,000 divided by 34. So once more, I'm still going to copy that over here, 352.94. Take a moment and go ahead and see how many gallons you would need. Once more, that is 12,000 divided by your average. Okay, so finishing this up. So here is our gallons. Now we're going to see the price for all of those gallons, and this is, again, how much money you might be spending in 1 year. So we're going to assume $3 a gallon because it's about where it's at right now. Obviously, if you have a sports car, it might need premium, which is more expensive, but we're just going to assume $3 a gallon. So $3 per gallon, you should multiply $3 with the number of gallons you found here. So for me, again, that's 3 times 352.94. Okay, so for me in a year, I might be spending 1,058.82 on gas. And that was once more the gallons you found times 3. So take a moment. Go ahead and figure out your cost, and then we'll come back and continue on to the last section from here. Okay, so again, I don't want this to be confusing. There was a reason I did it this way, but everything should be copied onto this document. 0.82. This is just the directions. I showed it here so that you could see the directions, but you are not submitting this document. The one that has all the directions, don't submit that. You are submitting this document. Okay, so the last section. What you're going to do is you're going to write 3 complete sentences giving reasons why you chose the car you did. It can be practical reasons or anything at all. I mean, for me, my reason was I needed to pick an example of a car to show you guys. But look through the car's features and see if anything stood out to you. It can be even like, I liked the color. I wanted a white car because it's hot in Arizona and black cars get hot in the summer. Ugh, could never have a black car in Arizona. Or I like that it was a brand new car. Or I liked that it had a really high MPG. Or I know it's going to be fast. It can be anything. Yeah. It doesn't have to be anything practical. It can be, it was pretty. I liked it. It just needs to be 3 reasons. So again, if you're having a hard time coming up with 3, look at the features and see if there's anything that, lane keeping assist. Sorry. I like that feature. See if there's anything else that stands out to you about why this is a good car. So once you have typed your 3 sentences on whatever your reasons are, yeah, obviously please don't do that, make them actual sentences, then you're done. You're going to submit only this document. So please, when you go to click submit, be very careful that you are looking at the template and not the directions. Do not submit this. The whole reason I have you submit the template is because it makes it very easy for me to grade. I'm just going boom, 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 boom. There's your information. The directions aren't all in the way. Please submit only this document. And again, at any point throughout all of this, if you are stuck and not sure where to find the information, please let me know. Tell me, and I can look up your car that you're looking at and help you find the information.